welcome everyone in the chat to our second episode of LFGG. Looking for a good game. I don't know if it's a podcast yet because I don't know how to upload it to YouTube or to iTunes. But our guest this week is Metaphors. So
What's up?
everyone
I'm
say
a
hi.
pineapple.
Yeah, big
Yo, what up, Mr.
pineapple.
Pineapple?
Uh, yeah, I appreciate you coming on with us. Easy and I just kind of thought of this idea a couple weeks ago. So yeah, man. Uh,
You're the
how?
biggest celebrity we've had since then.
Yeah, you're huge
Biggest
comparatively.
celebrity. Yep.
Yeah. When I said like no shade on Steve, Paradise won, but lots of people like hunters were stoked. But then when I said yeah, we got meta next week, like druids, shamans, warlocks, like paladins, people are like, yeah, dude, that's fucking like
It's big.
yeah,
Yep.
the big one.
You
So
know, little guppies like us out here. Good at metaphors in the stream.
yeah,
Shit
man.
pops off.
So I guess meta. The first question I do want to ask you is like my stream's kind of like I'm not like a rank 1 player or anything like that. I'm just like a gladiator rogue that kind of does twos and like fucks around with RBGs. And lots of my players are like newer, either new to PvP or newer XP, like in general. And like, what got you into playing WoW? I guess would be.
Um, what got me into playing WoW? I guess I had two stepbrothers that were always like one step ahead of me in playing video games, and I kind of always just wanted to prove myself to them. And so I eventually every game that they played, I just played and got better than them.
Oh,
So it was like a competitive thing from the start, and that's basically like what drove the whole PvP orientation, I guess. So, uh, my one of my stepbrothers was a wrestler druid. He would always kind of like be elitist about his 1800, and then
oh yeah, getting the weapon,
that's
dude.
that's as that's as high as he get. That's as high as he got. And then like that, that season I was gladiator, so it was just like
Oh wow.
yeah. And then yeah, they didn't really play much after that. So
No, that's a huge
yeah,
flex. Was that like in Wrath or BC?
that was BC. Yeah.
Oh wow, dude, the BC
Yeah.
Glad mounts are like I got 4 Glad mounts. I would trade all 4 for one BC Glad mount. I think those are like
Yeah, I kind of regret distributing mine, so
yeah,
it's kind
uh,
of unfortunate.
yeah, I feel that. Um, do you? So I guess easy. You can answer this as well. Like, you're more just a mage, I guess. But do you like? Do you miss how the game used to be? Like you were a shaman, or when you think of Snuts, he was a warlock. When you think of Sea-Doo, he's a shaman. Like now, everyone plays everything. Like, do you like that more that you get to kind of mess around with your warlock or druid or shaman? Or do you miss the days when like everyone knew metaphors as X class, like you were the
A
master of?
shaman back in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, you know what I mean. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like not so much as a competitive game from standpoint, but just like class identity. Like everyone knew that fucking metaphors was the shaman.
You take that question, Matt. I'll come back with a rebuttal on it.
The question is, do I like it now that multi-classing is easier?
What do you
Or
like
is
more?
that it,
Like what style?
multi-classing or people reserving themselves to an identity? That's the question, right?
Yeah, I
Think the
guess so.
latter of it,
Yeah.
yeah. Like the whole class
Okay.
identity kind of a thing.
Um, well, the problem is time. So it's not so much that I like that style or like one style over the other. It's just that the multi-classing identity is inevitable, like based on time. So you take a player like me or Sidu or whatever, we've been playing the game for over 10 years. Then eventually, like we're forced to like dabble into other class mastery. So that's kind of like where it's going. So back then, uh multi-classing was not even a thing because if you go to even if you like play on like a private server or something, you'll realize how many actual spells there were compared to now, and also different ranks of spells. And it's a completely different ball game. Like you have to actually devote yourself to mastering a class. and it's not like the room to play another class is very very little, and you'll see that once BC comes out. Like I don't think right away people will be playing more than one class. I think at least for like the first year, it's gonna be people playing like one class, like as their main. There's not gonna be like double headed mains. So, uh, yeah, I mean, it's just an evolving thing, really. That's basically what it comes down to.
That's actually a very similar take that I had. Kind of why I wanted to lead with it. I feel like it's just the progression of the game. For us, a couple different factors. The game's just getting easier to play. Like every expansion is just getting easier and easier and easier, and people are able to take that time and put it into other classes, put it into other parts of the game. I like the class identity aspect of the game. Like I live in that fantasy still as just a mage. Like that's just what I play. I do play every class in the game. I'm not good at them, but that's only because I have time to do that now. Before, I feel like the game was, and even you can even see it. We don't even need to wait till the BC Classic comes out. We can see it in vanilla on how much time you need to put into a single character. We're talking professions, we're talking first aid, min maxing gear, going doing quest lines to attune yourself to a dungeon just so you could go get that piece of gear. Like it's significantly more time to put your character up to that maximum level. Where like now you literally can make a character and you may not do too well, but you literally just make a character and you can step into an arena and you can start to learn your rotation, learn your class a little bit better. But I still like the class identity. I still wish it was like that, where people only had one character, and the people that did have two or three characters were just absolutely nuts, like beyond like next level players type of thing. But I do feel like what's going to end up happening is eventually everybody, like high end players, especially people who want to play tournaments, are going to be playing 4 or 5 different all characters and are going to be crushing it because the game's really like you have 3 offensive buttons, 3 defensive buttons, 3 AoE buttons, 3 cooldowns.
Yeah.
Like it's all kind of the same in that way now.
And you guys have both said when BC Classic comes out, so you guys are 100% in agreement
Yeah,
on that.
I'm pretty confident it's gonna come out just because, like, from a financial standpoint, like
Yeah, it'll make
it was
money.
no, it's a no brainer. Yeah, it's a no
Yeah.
brainer.
Is that
But
something you guys are gonna want to like? Do you think that would be like a competitive AWC thing, or do you think Blizzard would like cannibalize like retail for that? Do you think people are gonna arena and take it seriously like they do on live?
um, it will be kind of like the classic dueling. It's gonna be popular initially and then die off.
Yeah,
So
If you look at the prize pools for some of the classic stuff, though, like classic prize pools are higher than retail prize pools.
they're
I think there's just more
crowdfunded,
people
right?
that are, yeah, there's people that are more interested in supporting classic. I feel like sometimes than retail. I'm always going to be a retail baby. Like I achievements, just completionism. It's all about retail for me in that aspect. But I mean, I play classic. I got like uh, when Molten Core was out. I mean, I rated it. I got full epic on my mage, and then I just kind of quit because to what ends? Like to what end am I going to play that game? And I feel like retail never ends. So that's kind of where I come back to. But I definitely think there's a lot of people that prefer BC Arena over BFA Arena, and I'm sure it's going to be that same way for Shadowlands Arena.
um, BC Arena is not all sunshine and rainbows. I'm
That's what I
gonna
was
be
just gonna
honest.
say. I was gonna say I think
It's
people are gonna have a horrible time getting soloed by Druid Thorns if you're a rogue. You know what I mean? Like that's a thing. Like
it's the meta is defined by a few classes, and especially late game, like season 4 patch style. Like it's if you're not like a druid, warlock, rogue, or warrior, like you're gonna have a harder time. Like and then there's those are like the S tier, and then like there's like tier 1. It's kind of like the same system now.
hmm
You just have to be aware of it, and a lot of people are going to be aware of it because it already happened. And like I said, private servers, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come back for BC, not only for the PvP but for the PvE content as well. Like the rating itself, like getting attunements and stuff. Like it's just fun. It really is. And the different types of gear setups that you can do, especially like the late expansion with the 4 pieces of PvP, 4 pieces of PvE. Like
yeah.
those advantages are going to be worth playing for. So.
Are you? Do you like that? I think obviously BFA, especially season 4, kind of went overboard with the PVE gear and PvP. but do you like the idea at least that you can gain a small advantage if you do both like aspects of the game?
Uh, as a competitor, no, I don't like gear advantages being like an impact over PvP.
Yeah,
I want PvP to be like skill based only, and everyone to have like a equal playing field. And it just sucks because like in BFA, like that's all it that's a lot of like the function of the game was like PvE, like gear, right?
yeah,
If you didn't have a certain set of gear versus a certain comp, like it was literally like the most uphill battle ever. Like imagine if you're playing Warlock and you have a verse set, right? If you don't have a haste set, you lose every caster mirror. Like if you're fighting double caster, you just lose. Just because you don't have the haste. Like me and Easy actually experienced this early on. Like I had a mastery set for my Warlock, and we struggled in the mirrors because I couldn't compete with haste. And as much as like we had something working, it was just like inferior players would actually just beat us because they just had a different gear set. And it's kind of shitty because when you're a player that wants to play different classes, BFA kind of like limited that, and it made it really hard because you have to do all the visions, you have to get all the sockets. Like it was just a grind fest, and so I didn't like it at all.
I feel like this season was the worst I've ever seen with gear corruption, and then the corruption, like the
the
what am I trying
vendor.
to think? The vendors, like it was literally just the worst I've ever seen. Before, I've always liked having the gear advantage because I literally just do everything in the game. I literally had it anyways. So I liked that I was beating players that were probably better than me because I went out and I farmed the gear. I put the time in to get the gear, and I like that. As like I didn't never typically did super high in PvP, so I kind of like that I had a chance. But this season felt the absolute worst for gear.
That's
Like it
because you're
actually did.
that's because you're pushing at the top now, and you know how it feels.
Yeah,
It's
and
like
it
you're
sucks.
no longer like the inferior mage. You're fighting mages that are inferior to you, and they're winning.
Yep,
You know that,
and
that so
it
that's
sucks.
it
Like,
sucks.
So
what do
did
you
you
do
like
about it?
did you like the template system from Legion? Because everyone wanted that, it seemed like, but then it turned into no one really liked it.
The template system was great. If they just evolved on that, it would have been
Like if you
something
could
really
pick
really good.
your off stats or whatever. If you could,
Yeah, like that's part of it, and then like also making trinkets relevant too.
yeah,
Trinkets were like don't see like just small like indicators of like change with that system would have been great because in Legion almost every class spec was viable because of templates.
yeah,
Like I
definitely.
saw different stuff, and also in Legion the competitive scene was at its peak. Like I remember it was like the 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 last summer regionals. It was like 50,000 viewers like watching
Yeah, that's insane. Well, this is when the
the
game's
summer the
good.
summer finals, and
Casual
then
people
BlizzCon.
just want to watch.
Yeah, BlizzCon peaked at like 120K for the Arena World Championship. Like that was when that was 2018.
On CD1.
That was the Seeded one, yeah, when
Yeah,
Seeded one and Peekaboo was playing, and yeah.
I think that was
So,
because the CD1, like he's obviously very popular and
um,
has a feel
actually,
good story.
I don't think it was mainly Seeded. Actually, I think it was mainly the rivalry between Waz and Pika that kind of like,
Fueled it.
uh, yeah, because there was a lot that everyone was hyped for that. So there was just a lot of hype behind that. It's almost like hyping up like a UFC thing,
Yeah,
right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's what it felt like,
It
I
does
guess.
upset me when watch like tournaments like that and I see Waz like not on his rogue. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Pika's always on his like that's when we get back to the first question is like I want to see I've been playing the game since BC and I'm watching Snuts play Warlock and now when I see him on his rogue, he's obviously insane. He's insane at whatever he plays, but like in the back of my mind I'm like I want to see you on a Warlock. And like I feel
Yeah,
like
I feel that.
it just sucks because obviously to be the best you need to be able to multi-class and counter comp because the game is so streamlined now. But like I think we lost a big part of like what the game was about when you only could have the time to gear one character because it took 6 months to get a full set.
Yeah. I don't think people appreciate the amount of effort it takes to multi-class though. So, I'm kind of on the other side of the fence there. Like, whereas, like, even though, uh, Snuts was a warlock. Like Snuts is a multiclasser, and
Yeah.
that's the you have to evolve with everything, not just the game. So I'm a firm believer in that, and like being like stuck in like one type of like mentality is not something that I personally want to do. So like when I see the game evolving into the fact that people have to play 5 6 things to win a tournament, like that is I don't know, I just roll with the punches,
Yeah,
you know.
I guess so. If you don't, you get left behind, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a shaman still, or do you consider yourself just a 3300 plus player?
I consider myself more of a druid player. I like druid more. They kind of I will always be like a good shaman, but I don't want to focus on it because I've spent a lot of time on that, and I
Yeah.
want to put my energy in other places. And to me, druid seems more of the play making style, and that's kind of what I'm good at. I'm good at making plays and beating my opponent that way. So one of my struggles has always been like a PvE orientation, a style of gameplay,
Yeah.
because I look for win conditions instead of just overwhelming them. So
I'm
that's
surprised you
why I
don't
like
play rogue, to be honest.
that was my main. That
Really?
was my main. Yeah, that was my
Surprised
main
me.
when I
I haven't seen
started.
you play that. I feel like you'd be decent at rogue. I feel like you'd be
That's
really
what
good at rogue.
I started off as a rogue. I played rogue and druid in BC, and I played mainly rogue and wrath, and then I started shaman in season 7. But I still played rogue again in season 8. But yeah, rogue was my main for a long time, so
That's
that's kind of where that mindset comes from.
do you um I guess do you see Druid as the like like you watch skill cap YouTube videos, and I guess it's beta, so no one really knows, but like where like they everyone is saying that Disc Priest is the king right now as far as beta. Do you think Druid
Yeah,
is gonna
this
be
this priest is definitely really strong because their damage is very high and their healing is very high. So one of those is going to get nerfed. So I'm not sure what's going to happen, but Druid is still really good, and I'm not sure if Druid's going to get nerfed. So Druid might reign supreme after the first couple months,
okay?
if you get what I'm saying. Like there's like a certain like sweet spot for classes that if you're just good enough to like bypass the radar, the nerf bat radar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You end up like being good for like the entire expansion.
Well, that's how I feel
So
about sub is like too good right now, and it's gonna get
yeah,
like I think
yes,
assassination is gonna be the best spec again because they're gonna nerf the shit out of sub. Like
yeah,
it's
that's
got
possible.
it's got more damage than Sin, and it has obviously the control. Like it's kind of ridiculous. Like even in pre-patch, I mean everything's ridiculous, but you're literally killing people in a cheap shot. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about? I think I saw a post that they raised the two trinket buff to 40% versatility, but do you like the the
Um.
gearing system in Shadowlands so far?
Well, they raised the damage and healing aspect of
Yeah,
the trinket, not the damage reduction, so that's good. Um, because versatility, like I don't like when people can't die.
it's
It's
so
not a fun
boring, man.
experience.
Especially in AWC, like you don't even have to watch for the first
Yeah,
10 minutes.
I want AWC to be an impactful thing. I actually enjoy watching that stuff if it's not,
80%
50%
dampening.
down. Yeah. Yeah, I want it to be hype, and it's important for it to be hype, and I need to focus on that more so over actual class balance, because the rank 1 players are going to play what's best anyway.
Yeah.
So it just comes down to it being actually fun to play instead. So that's my assumption.
I feel like it's a hard balance. I feel like right now my biggest gripe is things are dying almost too quick. Like I'm literally being drested for 70% of my health. I'm being slammed by a warrior for 80% of my health. And like it's fun to not have a game go 15 minutes into dampening, but it's also not fun to
Have
not
to
be able to
ice
predict the
block in the
damage
opener every time, no matter what.
or like press temporal and just die from 100% health anyways. I
Yeah.
pre-tempt the stun and I just die in temporal and a stun. Like
Well, like
that's not
even in
fun.
a twos game, 2K2s, I'm doing with the viewer one row of Shadow Priest dots, and I have to cloak if I'm playing with a like double DPS. Like it literally just like I think they should have just like grayed out traits during during pre-patch as well.
I don't know why they didn't. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't take away the essences, the Azurite
Just
traits. I
all
don't
of
know
it,
why they
like
didn't grade out right away. It's all active, and it's gonna continue to be active in the game until you go into Shadowlands. And even in Shadowlands, when you come back out, you still have the traits and everything active. So like, I don't understand what their thought process was with that.
are you guys genuinely excited from a competitive standpoint with Shadowlands? Do you guys have like hope? Because I don't think many people had hope going into BFA, let alone during BFA.
Um, let's see. Do I have hope? I don't know. I don't think that it's gonna go. I think this expansion is gonna be more like a stepping stone than anything. It's obviously gonna be better than BFA, but to get to a point where it's gonna be great, it's probably gonna be the expansion afterwards because they're so far behind, like as far as like understanding what the game should be. Like they haven't. They're supposed to put out another class this expansion.
Yeah,
Like if you think about it, it's
Really?
always it's
every
always
second,
been
right?
right. It's always been like every other expansion. Like there's supposed to be a new class introduced, and they've broken that cycle now because they're just like I said, they're so underwater
Do you think maybe
with
they
every.
did that consciously just because everything's so broken now?
Yeah. They've had to scrap like and
Like a
probably
tinker or
entire
whatever,
projects.
like
Yeah. Mhm.
I feel like the whole COVID things though, that's got to be like
yeah,
one of
does
those
that weigh in
situations
on it when
where
everyone's working from home? That's why it could be delayed.
I feel like that's got to be some of it. I give them a little bit of a break this time around, and I mean honestly, uh, everybody bitches about BFA, but I swear everybody's gonna look back and it's gonna be like every other expansion where you look back and you're like, man, I had a lot of fun in this expansion. Like in the moment, in the time, you see all the flaws, and you look back and
It's
in just
true.
nostalgia, you look back and you're like, fuck, man, I'm really gonna miss corruption. I'm gonna miss 99% hate haste mages. Like G Pie was so lame, but at the end of the day, you're gonna look back and like, man, I'd rather have G Pie than Thought Steal from a priest. Like there's gonna be something. It's always gonna be that way.
Mm. I can't honestly say that I look back at Ashran and say, man, I miss
Yeah,
that.
true. Yeah,
I like
Palenka, please. Like,
so like there's definitely aspects of the game that I don't miss. And WAD is like definitely one of them. I don't miss that expansion at all.
are you worried? I think WoD having only just to comment on that, only 3 seasons was detrimental to it because it was like a really long
No,
expansion.
there was Cataclysm
Three
was
as
three
well.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I guess so. Yeah.
that was a good expansion. So
Except for that had a big PVE. Like once I remember I did RB. Like I got hero the first 2 seasons of Kata, and then I was joining like in trade chat in season 3, and it was like if you didn't have what was it, cunning and Terragosa, you know what I mean? If you didn't have all the Dragon Soul stuff and the legendary staff or the legendary daggers or heroic Gerlach, like you couldn't even get into like a 2K pug RBG. So I think there's like people don't remember or want to remember that the game has always been imbalanced in PvP with PvP or PvE gear, and
yeah.
they just want to say it's a BFA problem, but I can, other than Legion and I guess MOP because of PvP power. There's always been, even in MOP, people stack sockets, right, with like 3 socket gear instead of 1 socket, and just gem PvP power. But I just think, I don't know. I think the only way that they can really counteract that is by doing what they did in MOP. Do you agree with most of the player base that MOP was the heyday for WoW PvP?
Um, a lot of people cherish Mop, and I am not one of those players. I look at Mop, and I have a lot of resentment towards that expansion because there was just a lot of cheating in that expansion. So it was not necessarily like the the game itself was bad. It was just the community was not great. Um,
Yeah, yeah. You
between
needed a
DDoSing, win trade,
VPN.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
Or
it was
botting.
just and then botting as well or botting. Yeah, so it was kind of a clown fiesta, and even from like a tournament like perspective, like people were cheating in tournaments. and they were like, I remember the qualifier for regionals was kind of online, and you could there was like teams that were literally disqualified because the other team reported them that they weren't there. And so like there was just, yeah, it was kind of like not even, it wasn't a good expansion from that point of view for me, because that's when I really wanted to like kind of become a competitor and like really push myself.
I
Uh,
I think that was the last expansion of the original ideology of WoW. If you know, like WoD, they took it a totally different direction with like randomized stats and dungeons and random sockets and warforging and like I feel like that's why
yeah,
people miss MOP is because that was like the last expansion where WoW was WoW. You had you know like enchants on every item and all that stuff.
I do think class design was also pretty great for MOP in general.
There
Like
was
if
a
you know
lot
everyone,
of buttons though. Like I will say, like I got small hands and I wasn't very good at PvP in MOP specifically, and I think like there's two little buttons now, but I thought like I played a warrior then and I had like I think like 60 keybinds, and I think that's
yeah,
too.
I mean, but
I think that's too many personally.
right, but I also think that there were some spells that weren't uh
Necessary.
you didn't have to use them in PvP, yeah. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. The way, if people just understood like the way like a 12 button mouse works now, which I feel like a lot of people don't. I know that sounds really stupid, but like if you just bind your shift alt and control to the mouse buttons on the side, your entire keyboard opens up and you'll never have an issue
True. Yeah.
for any type of bind ever. Like ever again. And with that being said, it's just a matter of time of you mastering your piano. And as soon as you get that done, like it just yeah, it's not even an issue anymore.
It's a
So
good that's a good analogy, honestly.
Do you think what's the greatest barrier to entry for low XP or new people trying like watch the AWC or watch a stream and go, I want a PvP. That looks like fun, and then they're like, well, what's a macro? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the barrier entry is 100% game knowledge. It's they don't know how other classes work, and let alone maybe their own class. And there's some things that aren't just they don't take the time to read the tooltips, and they don't take the time to actually test things. And so there's a lot of knowledge that you just need to grow on. And then I would say that the next barrier for that is UI and keybinds. Not a lot of players have good understanding of how to keybind and like why things need to be bound a certain way. And uh and then like I said, add-ons as well. Like they don't understand, like they'll like watch a stream, but they see an add-on, but they don't understand like why it's important.
yeah,
You know, they like seeing the add-on. It's good for them for like a viewer perspective, but they don't understand how it enhances your gameplay. So
would that be your I guess your advice, your number one tip would be to just literally read the spells and understand what not just what your class is doing, but every
yeah,
class.
like understanding, like reading every class, like actually taking the time and like considering it almost like you're reading a book, because every spell, like even the
Hmm.
passives of the class and stuff, like those things are important. The more you know about those things, like the easier it is to counter them. And so if you took time out of your day, like did a class trial on each class, read them, and have like some idea in your head of like how the class works, and even just spending like an hour on the class and like doing some PvE content opens up an entire world of information in your brain that like allows you to connect what your class does against that class. So it's just a matter of actually doing the work. So, and a lot of people don't have time to do the work anymore. It's either, you make a choice, you spend all your day playing WoW and being a streamer, or you have a real job.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
definitely. I mean, Yeah, I'm caught in like the purgatory of like I'm trying to become a streamer, obviously, and
Yeah.
like obviously with COVID, it's hard because I was a bartender and where I live, like the bars are pretty much shut down, and so I started streaming about 4 or 5 months ago, but so has everyone else. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's super hard. Um, and then you
I
got
Yeah.
think that's
let's go on easy.
No, I think that's a good thing that you're bringing up, though. Like the fact that you kind of almost have to dedicate yourself to the game if you want to be able to compete at a high level in this game, because you have so many people that are doing just that. I mean, either they financially are set to where they can just play the game anyways without having that sort of stream of revenue to come in. But I feel like that is kind of the nature of the game. You can't I mean, you can be good at the game, you can be insane in the game, but I feel like if you have other obligations, a job, a family,
Yeah,
um, responsibilities that prohibit you from playing the game, I feel like it becomes really, really hard for you to be at a competitive point in this game. Like even not even just PvP, like thinking about like people who mythic raid and who want to go world first mythic raiding.
you have to take
Like I
weeks
feel like
off, right? Like
yeah,
weeks.
like I
Like
don't know how you could make that happen if you weren't able to just give up all responsibilities and dedicate yourself to the game. Like you literally have to all in. And I feel like that's kind of like a shame that that's what it's kind of evolved into. Because it almost kind of this game like rewards you for giving up your life, like so to speak, in such a way. So like, there's so many people that are willing to do it. There's no way to compete against those players unless you have that competitive advantage, which is essentially just time.
yeah, I don't. I just like feel like I love WoW and I have a young son and we split time with him. Like he's here 3 nights a week and when he's here, I don't touch the computer really. I kind of just I'm being a dad, but even in those moments, I'm like thinking about like I need to be well, I guess before pre-patch, I need to be doing my dailies. I need to be make sure I'm capped on my arena. Like make sure I'm doing my 15. Like it's just like such a grind, and I don't understand. Like Blizzard is like everyone thinks that Blizzard is just like this evil company now that like only cares about like time played metrics and I don't understand. Like, do you guys think that that's true? Do you guys think that they actually like only care about like how long you play and how long you're sub for, or do they are you like I choose to believe that they actually want to make the game fun and interesting. It's not Activision. Like,
I think obviously money is like the end goal for everything, but I don't think that they are direly desperate to get you to play the game too much because like otherwise they would have had things like realm first level 60s in place. They would have stuff that like forces you to play it more, but I do also think like the corruption vendor being on a rotation requiring hours of grinding before you can get one corruption piece, like I feel like there's some things that indicate that maybe they do want you just subbed playing this game as much as possible, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what their end game is other than money. Obviously, that's all it could be.
I think from the very top, it's no longer passion about the game. I think that's gone, and it is about that um thing. Like just keep them subbed, just keep them sub, keep them playing. However, from like I think that like some people that still work in the company, there's a smaller number than there used to be for sure of like people that actually care about the game and want the game to be good and stuff because it consumes you. Like the stress of like trying to make those you know the demands of the people that are higher up, right? You have to complete like a certain level of what they want and kind of have to make sacrifices that way. And a lot of I think a lot of the developers have like moved on and they don't the passion is just gone. The at least for like the new people there. It's just they don't they're kind of like left with a mess. They don't really know what to do, and you can kind of see that like the way BFA was, and like the how like they're actually starting to listen to the community now and try to give things back, like giving spells back and just changing the way the game is and making it better because I feel like no one had a single idea what was going on until they started listening to us.
How do you appeal though to a market of so many different things that are you're being pulled in so many different ways? Like you have shareholders who want you to do pay to play in the game.
Right,
You
right.
have
That's me.
players who just don't want that at all. How do you appeal to 99% of the player base who are just casually playing the game for fun? And then the 1% of players who are doing the high end Mythic Plus, high end Mythic rating, high end arena. Like it's so many different people pulling in so many different directions. I feel like looking at it from a passion point of view is a good way to look at it. But like, how do you keep that passion in the game when there's so many different aspects to the game that people are enjoying?
You,
Uh,
do you think they're or like maybe alienating their core audience, which is the people that actually love the game and just want to play, and looking for those people who play Call of Duty, Fortnite, like get in here for a month, give us a bunch of money, get out, like, and meanwhile they're bleeding subs from players like us who have played for 15 plus years. Like their priorities are just mixed up.
yeah, I think one of the truths is sacrifice from the company itself. Like, I feel like making those budget cuts was a mistake, and uh, getting more people to work on things is going to make the game better and more efficient, right? Like, you like you just have so much more manpower and things that they can get done on time. Like you can even the expansion is delayed. Like there's just not enough like people that are focused on specific areas. So like when you're talking to me easy about like like managing all that stuff, it's that's what it comes down to, is like making the sacrifice, paying more people to do the job the right way. More people focused on PvP, like there, I like, and then more people focused on like the mythic rating, and then more people focused on, the quest lines and stuff like that. Which, by the way, it's the best it's been. I love the new questing system. If we want to
The
bridge into that, that's insane.
Shadowlands? Are you seeing this? You done the beta quest
No,
pathing
no, 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 no. I'm talking about the way questing is right now. Like
where it shows like a pin on
yeah,
the
where
map?
you can level
However you
anywhere you
want.
want. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. The new the freestyle leveling is like actually
Do you mean
so
alts, or
nice.
because in Shadowlands it is linear again, right?
Yeah,
It's a
alts, leveling
story,
alts.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Of
I agree
course.
with that. Yeah, it's like one dungeon per level, and you can queue whatever you want, or you can go quest in whatever zone you want. Like, I think it's really good
Right.
for alts.
I think
I
oh, go ahead, easy.
Well, I was gonna say, I think this is leading towards like what eventually the game is gonna be. Which honestly, I think what the end game content to World of Warcraft, the very end of World of Warcraft, I think what it's gonna come out to is everything gets raised up to current content. Everything. I mean, we're talking like Onyxia, Molten Core. That's all current raid. I think it becomes a free to play game, and I think that everything is just it's current content. I think that's like ultimately what it's going to do. I also think that they're going to implement like kind of how they have those battlegrounds and like you can play with artificial intelligence players, like that Erythai Basin or whatever they have. I think that eventually it's going to be one of those things where everything's current content and you queue up for a dungeon, and if there's not enough players, it's just going to smack you with an AI tank or an AI healer. Or like you're gonna queue for a skirm, and if it's more than a 5 minute queue, they're gonna just smack you with an AI player to play with. I think is kind of like where everything is going to start to eventually head to. And I think that raising all the old zones so that way you can level as a whole thing, I think that's kind of
The
the
end game,
process to getting there. Yeah.
that terrifies me that you're saying that, because I don't want any of that. If I'm being
Well,
Yeah.
honest, like,
no, who wants to set a 30-minute queue, just to get into a dungeon? And
yeah,
I
but like,
We've been doing it for years.
yeah, have you played that fucking AB against the
We've been
AI?
doing it for years.
It's impossible
Literally.
to not five cap. Like,
no, I think that's I do think though that's like the trend of where it's going to go. But going back a second, I actually like this conversation. We can come segue back, but I did want to. I think what they should be doing to kind of maybe balance the game better is I've always thought that they should have one person for everything, like one three people to play shaman and play for like
Yeah,
resto shaman, melee shaman.
I feel like the people that make the class assigns, they don't understand the class. They
Yeah,
don't
they
play.
don't play it. No,
They
yeah,
actually
or
don't
not at
play.
a high level, right?
they're
Like they're
almost
just,
level
That's what I'm
50.
saying.
yeah.
That is a key. That is actually a key and something I'm passionate about, and that's why I raised my voice, because like that is that is just so fucking dumb of them
It should be
to like
obvious. You should have
not.
an expert of the
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
Fucking
There should be a subject matter expert like
yeah.
playing for class design. and
Maybe
it's
not
just
spec design, but like class design overall.
it's just
Like,
not there
yeah,
anymore. It's not there.
No, I think that you get 5, 6, 7 rank 1 titles on a single class. You should get an email from Blizzard saying, "Hey, we'd like to have your feedback. We'll pay for your WoW sub for the next year. Type us up a thing of what we should do." Or like even better yet, like we'll hire you on, and you
as a
just, I mean,
consultant or whatever, right?
yeah, there's so many people that would do that for free. Even like
Of
there's people
course,
I
that
would
would
yeah,
do
do
it for
that
free.
for free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
would literally do it for free.
yeah,
Metaphor's design shaman,
exactly,
the
yeah.
class is instantly 10 times better than it is right now. And you know, like if you somebody who takes the game that seriously, they're not gonna over budget their character. They're not gonna make their character insanely strong. They're gonna take it seriously. They're gonna balance their class, and all of a sudden, shaman is no longer the weakest healer in arena anymore. Like, you now have a viable healer that's competitive. And I don't know why they don't do that. I don't know why they haven't been doing that. And I don't think it just needs to go for PvP. They should have somebody in every
Of
aspect of
course,
it.
for
Somebody
PvE
can make a
spec. Yeah, yeah.
plus, and yeah,
Right,
and balance
exactly.
it that way. I don't know.
Do you think that honestly maybe they do have competent people, but the way with like let's use BFA, neck, Azurite, corruption, PvE trinkets. Do you think there's so many things baked onto the actual spec itself that
There's
it's
not a chance that they're competent.
Yeah,
I'm
there's no
sorry.
way.
There's
no?
it's
You
not.
just don't think
No.
it's too complicated now because like every expansion has 10 systems.
I,
It feels
I
like.
talk I talk on this topic a lot. Here's the problem. It kind of goes back to what we're saying before. Like, there's no way the way the system that they have in place, their infrastructure works because these people have jobs. These people who are designing our class have families. They have responsibilities. They have a kid's soccer practice to get to on the weekend. Like,
Yeah,
these people are not playing the game at a rank 1 level, at a world first mythic plus level, at plus 35 key levels. They're not able to get to that point because they have all these responsibilities, and one of their responsibilities is class balance. So if your responsibility is to balance a class, you won't have all time for all of these other responsibilities, and then to play your class or your spec or whatever your design role is.
yeah,
How do you squeeze time in to play it at a competitive level when you have a job? So I think that's like the whole infrastructure is just set to fail because you can't perfect something because you can't actually immerse yourself into it enough to make it good.
That's
So
why
that's why
you have
you
to
have to
recruit.
outsource.
You have to
Yeah, yeah,
recruit the gamers themselves. You have to
yep.
literally, yeah.
And there's
You have
people that
to.
would do it for free, like you said, you would do it.
100%.
Like I would do
Yeah,
it. Like, I mean, there's people that wouldn't. I think there's people that would deserve to play it. Like I said, people who are getting that server first mythic raid, or people who are doing plus 35 keys and timing it. And you look at those classes, they should be emailing them. They should be reaching out and saying,
Yeah,
"Hey,
because that's a
like."
subject matter expert. Like that's literally what it comes
it's
down
also
to.
free for Blizzard. Look at both you guys said you'd do it for fucking free because you want the game to be good.
Or
Like,
or just even minimal, like you said,
yeah,
a year of game time. What
yeah,
is that to them?
that's
That's
nothing. It's
that's actually
literally
not even an
nothing.
expense.
Yeah.
It's not even an expense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah, it's literally made up currency. Like they're literally just like,
yeah,
okay, here, have 10 years. Like who it does? It costs us $0. Like,
And
right.
people would be proud to do that.
of
Like, you would wear
course,
that like a
imagine
badge. Like,
that.
"Oh,
Like
I helped design Mage."
I work
Like,
for Blizzard. Like Mage is good right now because I've helped. Like, yeah, that's just like so common sense that it's impossible to do. I think. Like
yeah,
I don't even know who the lead PvP designer is now. Like it was Helenka forever. And then I think when they make it like one guy, like right now Ian Hazacostas gets blamed for everything because he's the lead game designer. Well, he has admitted he doesn't have like he has final say, but he's not involved in every aspect of the game. Like, do you think it would be better if we had one specific PvP dev to talk to again, or does he just get memed into oblivion because the game is
I
like
feel like it should be a group. Should be like a group
like a
of
like a round table of people who just sit
yeah,
there
literally.
like a WoW
Yeah,
and work
PvP
through it.
fucking Twitter that you can tweet at? You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
two representatives per class.
yeah. All right, you heard
One
it
for
here first.
PvP, one for PvE.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? Well, there's a big push on the forums right
There
now
you
to
go.
get like Stoops to like Blizzard, like everyone wants Blizzard to hire Stoops because he's shining a light on these things. He's gaining traction on YouTube for what seems to be what everyone is saying, but it's like Blizzard never hears us. It's like, hey, we just want gear to be gear, and we just want PvP gear to be the best in PvP. And I don't want to grind out like there's 200 new legendaries, and they're all going to be active in arena. Like, what the hell is that? Like,
Yeah, I don't know
what
how
the
they
hell
balanced
is
that.
that?
I saw that.
Like I didn't even think corruption was going to be available in arena, honestly. And then I queued into an arena and got one shot by a tendril. I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, how can you have RNG like this in a competitive like esport? Like, and I'm just on the ladder. Like, you guys are actually like competing. I couldn't imagine how frustrating it is when you guys like just die to gushing wounds on the tournament realm before it was even nerfed. Like,
I mean, it's fun when you're the one using it.
of course,
Like, it's
yeah,
it's
but
a
like,
lot of fun when you get that Tendy proc, and then the other team dies, and you're just sitting there laughing. But yeah, it's definitely not fun right now from the point of view where I press temporal shield at 100% health. I go into a stun thinking I outplay the rogue, and all of a sudden I'm dead 2 seconds into the
yeah,
stun,
because you
and
get
it's
hit for a
what am I
dress
supposed to
that's
do? It's just
somehow more
should I
OP
block?
now.
Like yeah, it makes no that
How
stuff
is
makes no
dressed
sense.
more OP now than it was when everyone was complaining about it? Like,
You guys see that it's coming back too. There's a dress 2.0. There's another trinket just like it. Like they're gonna have to do something with the trinkets because what they did, I feel like, isn't gonna be enough. You're still gonna use PVE trinkets because they're just too strong.
a mini's writing in the chat. To be fair, Legion had legendaries and Legion Arena was amazing. Yes, but Legion legendaries weren't available in Arena. Shadowland legendaries are available in Arena,
And a lot of people were lucky if they got a legendary. I
like
don't
a
know if you
good
guys remember
one.
how hard those
Yeah,
were. Yeah, it was not easy to get a legendary until the very end of the expansion.
yeah, we could
You
target
had to
them.
play the entire game and do everything. I remember not getting one for like a month, and I worked so hard. I did everything,
Yeah.
like literally everything. I was spam running Mythic Pluses every single day, like just looking for people's keys to run them through just to get another chance. And I didn't get it for so long.
I did every raid on every difficulty other than LFR every week because it guaranteed me a legendary every second week, like in Antorus. So if I did every raid on normal, heroic, and mythic, I got one legendary every second week. Like, fun,
Yeah,
engaging.
I mean, the game's always been gear dependent. I'd agree. I definitely think the game's always been gear dependent. I just think now the problem is like the skill gap is it's so minor between some of these players that when you get something that's so strong, it's just it's just the biggest difference. It really is. Like somebody puts on a piece of gear and then now that piece of gear puts them this much better than somebody else because they don't have it. Like they're so small of a I don't know. I'm trying to say you can't outplay players nearly as much, and gear just kind of closes that gap. It makes it so that way you have so much more of an advantage over somebody else.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like they took away the ability to like outplay someone by just like pruning your spec. You know what I mean? Like, I guess now like you can bait people to kick you on fire when you're playing arcane now. You know what I mean? Like maybe someone will kick a fucking scorch and
Yeah,
that'll
and everything's like so cookie cutter too. Like everybody's playing the exact same build and every variation. You don't see a whole lot of people playing different stuff anymore because it's all this is definitely the best. You play this because this is the best for your spec. This is the best for your class.
Are you gonna be competing in AWC meta? Are you like what do you think about the future of WoW Esports like coming up for Shadowlands?
Am I gonna be competing? TBA, and I don't want to say anything right now.
Yeah.
And the future of WoW Esports, I don't like it. I think we had something going really well for us with the crowdfunding, and I know that WoW itself is super super community driven, and if they just did it the right way, or even just learn from their mistakes instead of scrapping it, WoW Esports could have been freaking huge, like ridiculously huge. You know, they raised $2.6 million off toys. Imagine if they added mounts and transmog and all that other stuff for crowdfunding. You know what I'm saying? Like, could you imagine like riding around on like some like they already do it anyway. Like you pay $60 for a new mount, you know. You
Yeah.
just do that, and it go all of that goes to wow to the teams, right? Instead of doing what was it, 25% for PvP,
And then it
right?
capped, right? It capped at what it was originally going to be or like plus
Yeah, yeah. That's what
like
I'm saying. Like
yeah,
they took 80%.
they
They
just
took
kept it.
80%. Right. Now flip those numbers and then what do you have? right?
Yeah.
You flip that percentage, and it's a completely different ball game. And if, like I said, you add the tabards, the transmog, the mounts, the toys, you add the whole 9 yards to support. You put that out for once a year, and then all year long, all that money goes to esports, and then you have something that is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But no, they don't want to do it. So
I also
Yeah, that
yeah, I don't
that is
know.
a good point.
I think
Like,
like
why don't they do that?
yeah, I think like I can speak from my friends who don't play WoW, and then when the AWC is on, I'm streaming it on my couch, like watching it, and they're like, you know, what the hell is going on? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think it's too intricate? 3v3 is too intricate to like. I know the casters are great and the UI is better every time and stuff like that, but I think like people like in all of Legion, like even I remember at BlizzCon, these are people who play WoW all the time, and they're screaming and yelling when a Rep Pally is getting to 2% health when he has his auto bubble still. You know what I mean? Like people literally just don't know the game. And do you think that that's like maybe Blizzard just doesn't think that no matter how much money they put into it, because the prize pools are a joke. Like obviously, like League of Legends gets like a $7 million prize pool, BlizzCon gets 100 grand. Like, are you serious? Like, but do you think they just don't have faith? Like it's too complicated for the regular viewer to
it's it,
understand.
it's not that it's a faith thing. It's a vision. They don't. That's not their vision to make WoW an esport, and that's why
Yeah,
it's always going to be like the way it is.
I guess so. Yeah.
It feels like they pump money into Mythic, like world first rating though, and maybe that's like the organizations that are
That's
behind
because
that.
That's because
look how much viewership it gets.
yeah, that's because
But
like Method
it,
did that. Like Blizzard
that's
didn't
where the
care.
money's at though.
Yeah.
That's why the viewers are there. That's because the people are promoting it and you have actual advertising behind it because there's money behind that. And I feel like if there was like even $1 million for BlizzCon, like who's getting $1 million? Like I feel like that would promote itself and it could essentially overcome. I look at endgame for me is not Mythic Raid. Endgame for me is rank one hero, even though that's kind of a meme. But like I look at high end RBGs, high end arena as endgame content because that's in my opinion the most skillful part of the game. Sorry for PvEers out there that are listening, but I think that it's way harder to be a rank one player than it is to be a Mythic Plus Raider.
Oh,
Like
100%. Yeah.
like, you just learn the mechanics of the boss and done. I mean, after that,
Maybe not as like a like what Method has to put in and limit, like as far as being the world first when there's no guides. You're literally talking to devs in real time on bugs and certain situations like of the fight. Maybe that's as hard as getting rank one, but after outside of that, like 20 people or 40 people that are doing that, I agree fully that PvP
like
is so much higher.
what Meta said would literally just fix the issue. Like all they need to do is introduce a mount that you buy
Well, how about
or a
they said
or a
in
toy,
chat? They said in chat tabards of your favorite team.
something. I mean, yeah, I mean that's
How many
something.
All of
Just
people?
it,
put anything
Yeah,
all of
that'll
it,
all of
fund
it.
it
literally
Yeah,
all.
itself
We're talking $10 million. Like
literally.
easily.
You saying like
like
Asmongold has his own team now? You think like his 60,000 average viewers wouldn't buy the OTK tabard? You know what I mean? Like
of course.
instantly,
Yeah,
and he doesn't make a
I mean, I
cent
would
from
buy just to
that.
have it for completed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Like yeah.
and all you got to do is take 30% of that. Even you don't have to put all of it towards esports or towards like a competitive part of the arena. That's all it takes. For some designer somewhere to take literally 30 minutes, somebody in the chat right now could probably design the mount, put it in the game. It's free, and then take the money they get from that and put it towards a competition. And you'd get way more money behind it. I think WoW as a PvP competitive base would grow so much more. Like there's more money being put right now into the MDI. Like people are getting paid more to be mythic dungeoners than they are to be rank one arena, which again I think is like the highest skill cap part of this game. That's the hardest thing in this game to do, and they gets no reward for it. It feels like all you get is the ego or like the title that goes along with it, and then that's it. That's the end of it. Like there's no end game for it.
Well, they keep shitting on PvPers over and over and over again with the crowdfunding being ripped out from under them. Like it was supposed to be a massive prize pool. It's increased by 50K, and then you need to PVE to PvP and all this shit. Like less and less people are PvPing, and the majority of the people PvE and do Mythic Plus. Like they don't even raid anymore, really. Like why would you raid when you could just do Mythic Plus? And I guess Blizzard has a vision for that because I guess it makes money, right?
I mean, I'm all for more stuff in the game. Like, I'm all for having as many possible competitive avenues in the game to keep it creative. Like the whole mythic realm first, mythic plus 15 coming back next expansion.
That's
I'm
great.
gonna go for that.
Why
I
wouldn't you?
love that. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try to get a realm first title for mythic plus 15. I think that's awesome. That's bringing me into a part of the game that I wouldn't have taken nearly as seriously. But the the fact that some of the hardest things in the game have the least amount of rewards behind them doesn't feel that great. Like other than the title, there's minimal reason to put hundreds of hours into arena. If you want to make your character better in the game, if you want to enhance your gear, if you want to be stronger in the game, it's not to even step foot into arena. It's to go into other parts of the game.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that reward there is minimal. Like hero, I'm a huge RBGer. I RBG every single season, and I look back and it's like, why do I even want this hero title? It's a feat of strength, okay,
Yeah,
like,
like
that's it. There's
literally,
no
maybe
mounts,
if
there's
the
no reason for me
yeah,
to
there
do
should be
it.
a mount and the title should go away. Just like glad.
Yeah, like, they just don't change or they don't adapt some of this stuff, and what ends up happening is it's a shame, like, one of the best parts of the game just dies off because there's no incentive for people to do it, and it eventually is gonna turn people away from the game because they're not being incentivized to do their favorite things in the game. I don't know, paradox.
Meta, do you think a good I like when I think of WoW at its height was when I got into PvP, it was like I want 1800 to get my weapon, I want 2K to get my shoulders, and I want 2200 to get my T2 weapon. Those are my big three goals. Like when I was a kid growing up. Like if I could get the tier 2 wrathful weapon, I would be so good. And I think when they take things like that out of the game,
Yeah,
it
prestige.
yeah, it's like those things are
Yeah, of
cool,
course.
man. Like and you
The
take it
game
out
needs
of the game.
prestige to
Yeah,
survive.
yeah, you take it out of the game and people don't like people just stop caring. Like when
Yeah,
they took out elite when they made elite just hey, do you get 28,000 conquest points in mop? Like I didn't even buy the sets. I was like why would I want to like it's not even rating like who cares? Like why do they're so against having things
why do
exclusive
you
like
yeah, why do you care about pushing, like, if you're not gonna get rank 1, why do you care about pushing any rating after you get gladiator?
uh,
What's the difference between someone that's 2450 and someone that's 3150? It's the same reward.
well that's why I knew I
You
wasn't
don't
going to
there's no
get
reward. Yeah,
yeah.
there's no prestige. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
I knew I wasn't going to get rank 1. I mean, I never even tried to push rank 1, but I knew I wasn't going to get it this season. So when I got my gladiator in June, I literally just stopped playing. I stopped playing
Yeah,
threes.
that's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
there's
You're
no
not alone in
incentive.
that either. There's a lot of people doing that same thing. They got their gladiator title and like, "Well, I'm done. I'll see you next season."
Yeah, like literally. And then you're
Yeah, I don't
farming
know, it's a shame.
sockets and it
The old
turns out
the
they're bad
older
for you.
the older systems incentivize more playing. Like, people actually play, like the old gladiator system, like, made people play for gladiator, right? Even if you weren't gonna get
At
rank
the
1.
end of
Right,
the
right,
season, yeah.
right, but even like, it still made it more active than it is now, regardless if there was flaws.
Yeah.
The older system, we definitely took a turn for the worst
Think
for
so. Do you think the
prestige,
problem
yeah.
is that it's too low? 2400 is too low? Or do you think
Um,
like what if it was like 2700 but you only needed 20 wins?
well, that's the thing, is because each season is a different length of time,
Yeah.
the inflation will fluctuate whether 2400 is high or not.
Yeah,
So,
true.
like, let's say season 1 was like 8 weeks long. 2400 is like very hard
Yeah, very
to do.
hard, yeah.
So that's why percent based cutoff was always like best in slot.
Yeah.
You
No,
have to
I
play
agree.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
I think like rank one and stuff, I actually think that should be changed too. Like I don't think it should be
Agree.
top percentage of the base. I think it should be
No.
your class. I think
Oh,
you should have
maybe spec or
0.1% of
not
like
spec actually, because then it'd be memes.
of
Like,
paladins instead of having like if you look at the ladder, you have 100. Say you have 100 slots being taken up for rank one, like 60 of them are RMP, and then the other is like all the rest. So like I feel like you should have it per class, like all
Yeah,
a
that's
rank
a good way to balance it, really, if you think about it.
like a
I like
rank
it.
one for mages, a rank one for rogues, a rank one, and it's the same percentage. So like if there's only 5 rogues playing for rank, you know what I mean, like versus 30 different mages. I mean, it's definitely gonna hurt some people. Like you're gonna have people like Crusader, for example, who's gonna snag up 7 or 8 of those paladin slots, and it's gonna hurt those rets out there. But at the end of the day, like it's gonna be way
Wanna
more
just make
balanced.
it count. Just literally make it per account. too.
Yeah, are you guys okay with
True.
that? Like Crusader plays 6 paladins, gets rank 1.
Well, he
Like,
counters it like that, we're just making it an
yeah,
account
just
based
make it
thing.
account based. But then does all paladins on your account get the title, or is it
Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't.
you'd be
I
okay
mean,
with
why?
it? Why not? Why does
Yeah.
it matter?
Why? Yeah, why would it? Like, what? Like, they obviously know they can play the class. Like, you know.
I mean, it's definitely not balanced. You know, it's not balanced when you have half of the PvP base transferring to Horde just to make it easier because there's 3 times more rank 1 slots. Like, that's not balanced. You shouldn't have people going over to one
Yeah,
faction just to try to get.
shouldn't be faction based at all. Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
I agree with that. Do you think there's going to be like on the PvE side of things? We brought this up last week, but I don't know if you know who Exorcist is. The Russian raiding guild that's like always competing for world first. They actually a faction changed back to alliance for the first time in how many expansions has a top guild been alliance? Do you think that with how human works and like how racials, I guess in general on alliance are more OP? Do you think with top players are going to head back to alliance?
yeah. It would always see the player base gravitates to what is best.
Yeah.
So
So I'm saying, do
it
you see
does.
yourself going alliance for the racials, or do you see
Oh,
like
do you
your
see?
peers?
Do I? Yeah, I think a lot of people will be playing alliance.
Yeah.
Already went alliance.
And then
Yeah.
the player base will follow, right? The 2K rogue will do whatever Peekaboo does if he's human, or if he's night elf, or if he's panda for the in cap.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, you can be panda on either side,
yeah,
right?
I guess
So
so. Yeah.
I think people do tend to go the path of least resistance. I mean, like, why? I do think it's interesting to call out if you look at all the regions, and I say this a lot too, is that North America is like one of the only regions that's been Horde dominated primarily. If you look at like EU, if you look at the China ladder, if you look at German, Russian players, all of them typically are alliance mains. It's really weird that North America was like the only region that actually primarily was Horde
Well,
for
it's
their
like a
rank 1.
domino effect. Like what happened is, like if a guild like Midwinter, who was Alliance for 7 years, they went Horde, and then because they went Horde, then everyone who sees that who's a US 1000th raider, 2000, or just a heroic raider, well, obviously we got to go Horde, and then they go Horde, and then next thing you know, there's no recruiting. Like, have you guys been in Alliance LFG for PVE or PvP? It's horrible.
that's dead. Yeah, it's
It's
dead.
horrible. Like,
Yeah.
and that's such a shame because I personally prefer Alliance, if I'm being 100% honest. Like, but when I go on Alliance, even I don't have the connections that you guys have, but I know lots of people that play the game, and I can't find queues at 2800. I can't find queues at 2400. Like, how
Yeah,
how do
yeah.
they
You
fix that?
can't do anything. Yeah, I know you can't do anything.
It's
Uh,
so sad because and then I don't think it's a good idea
the
to
way
to
the way you
combine
fix
them
it,
though.
is actually making an expansion where the factions actually unite and there's no more faction rivalry. That is the answer.
You think so?
Because yeah, because that then you could play whatever race you want, and you wouldn't be disconnected from the community. The community becomes one.
I don't know if they're. I love that idea. I actually really love that idea. I don't
I
think
think
they would
they'll
ever do
die
that though.
before they do that. Yeah.
I mean, that defeats the whole world of Warcraft. Like
Would you
the
guys
alliance versus the
be
horde creates competition, and
Would
I
you
don't know
guys
if they'll
be
do that.
interested in possibly just removing power gains and racials?
Then what's the point of racials?
Yeah, what's the point of having that class or that
But
racial identity?
I mean, it's like you could play if your favorite race in the game is Tauren, you can be a Tauren. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah,
player.
but you play Torrent because of Four Stop, like
Yeah, but I'm
and
saying if there's no benefit to any races, then you can just play what you want. Like as Horde, I have to be an Orc Rogue. Like
right, but
period.
removing those things in the game makes it less fun. Like you
I
want
guess
to
so.
stay
Yeah.
away from that stuff. You can't. They've already made the game.
Yeah. If it's
They've already gone
cosmetic
down the road.
only, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I definitely think the ratios are. I like the added aspect, that added difference in arena, like having night elf into a caster versus orc into a melee cleave. Like I like having that tiny bit of an edge and that extra element of something to think about, to be concerned about. I would be more into them removing, like he was saying, like removing, you're a horde, you're an alliance, and having to compete against each other, queuing up with Alliance and queuing up with Horde for a raid to overcome a raid boss, or to queuing up in an arena as a human mage with a Blood Elf Paladin and a Torn Shaman, or like, I think that would actually be kind of cool. But I don't think that that's ever going to happen in the game. I don't think that they'll take away that faction identity, if you will. It's just been too instilled in the
Yeah.
actual
Didn't
the
Ian
the
say that he
DNA of
would
the game.
never do that?
Yeah,
Uh,
bam. World of Warcraft 2 though. World of Warcraft 2, the factions unite. Done. New game. Fresh
honestly, I mean,
start.
I'd still play it. I'd still love the game. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'd love the idea, but like I said, I don't think they'll ever go to that.
I don't think so. Unless they could port my rogue over. Like I've played this same rogue since I was 14 years old. I'm almost 30. Like I love this character. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you guys have the same ties to your mains. You know what I mean? Like doesn't matter. Like I love my rogue, and I don't want to play anything else just because how much time I put in.
Me tied to my character?
Yeah, not
No,
you.
no,
Uh,
not me.
do you guys think that Blizzard's nervous? Maybe 1%. Like speaking of WoW too, like other games, like with the two new companies that were formed from ex Blizzard higher ups.
Oh yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, they should be afraid.
I think they should be too. But like, would you fuck with something that like if Metzen came out with another WoW? Like his version of WoW isn't what we like as far as PvP. You know what I mean? Like his is storytelling and RP. Like I think to what retail has evolved to has been like,
You're never gonna get a good esport out of Blizzard
yeah,
or Blizzard employees. I'm sorry. They just don't have the mindset nor the vision.
Overwatch isn't that bad.
I mean,
It's not the same
It's
type of game though.
yeah. Well, I was just saying Blizzard in general. Like I mean, StarCraft is the original, I guess.
yeah,
But
but look what happened.
yeah,
StarCraft isn't thriving,
yeah.
you know?
They let things die. They just get stagnant and then they
Right, there's no vision for it.
yeah. True.
Just like I don't think there's probably a world where Overwatch doesn't succeed because of that too though.
Well, it's
Because
already
the
dying
vision.
now.
That's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
vision's not there. So
True.
it's really comes down to the company that has the visions, you know? So you have to want it. You have to want it to be that way.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think competition is only going to be good for the game. Like I hate to say that because there's always like the aspect you're going to lose
Hell.
players in the player base, and more World of Warcraft players makes the game more fun. But I do think it's a reality that competition is good for the game. If somebody creates a new game that's on place with World of Warcraft, I think that's good for World of Warcraft. I think that's going to make people step up a little bit and try to make a better game.
I don't know. I just hope like there's no competition. It's kind of like I'm Canadian and I care about the NHL series, and there's been no competition for 10 years, and the game is horrible. Like I don't even buy it anymore, and that was like something I care more about than I care about WoW, and I haven't bought it in years just because there's nothing pushing it to be better, and I think WoW is so comfortable with where they're at. They're like, well, what are they gonna play? Elder
Yeah.
Scrolls, like
That dude in chat says capitalism works.
yeah,
So yeah, like having an actual competitor is gonna make it do better. And I think that's probably one of the secret things that made it go downhill, just being
yeah, the King Daddy
being at the
topper.
yeah, 10 years or more.
Well, every other
Like
game that implemented a good idea, they just like 6 months later
stole
it
it.
was randomly like achievement points. Like Warhammer Online was like, yeah, we're all about achievement points, and then next thing you know, 3.0 comes out and the achievement points in WoW, and then Warhammer's like, okay,
Hmm.
like I don't know. I feel like we could talk about the do's and don'ts or what we want and what they do for like ever.
Yeah.
Bigger question is, what do you do to change it? What do you do to make an effect?
What is the
But
first thing that you guys would change in game, not staffing, like in the game? What's the first decision you would make?
Easy. You can take this one
I'm
first.
trying to think through because I feel like it's like a thread. If you pull one
Yeah,
thread, the whole thing unravels. Like, I mean, I feel like it's literally going to take expansions to undo some of the problems that the game has, and I feel like some of the things that we really like, we would end up losing to get rid of some of the things we don't like. I feel like that's a really ambiguous question. I don't really have a right answer because, like I said, I feel like it's one of those things where you pull the thread and
yeah.
everything just kind of crumbles. The whole
Well, my go-to is always removing one difficulty in the rating tier so that you don't get so much bloat per expansion. If you know what I mean. Like right now, it's like every tier, it's 15 item levels higher per difficulty, right? So think of how much DPS we were doing at the start of BFA, and think about how much DPS you're doing at the end of BFA, and it's like we're at the point now where they're doing a stat squish every expansion, and I think that that's horrible for the game. Like I really,
Yeah, I think stat switching is bad. I think,
yeah,
yeah, the bloat aspect. I feel like I'm trying to think like how you would fix that.
I think you just
I
take
don't know.
out like like you take out normal, you make heroic a little bit easier, but not too much easier, and then you make mythic a little bit easier, and then you still have LFR if you want it. Like I personally would take out LFR because I don't think anyone even uses it anymore, if I'm being honest.
You'd
But
be surprised.
maybe
Yeah,
I just
I
feel
mean,
like
I go in for
15
transmog,
like
but
15 item levels taken out per tier. How many raid tiers did we have? Four this
for
expansion. So what is that? 90 or 60 item levels taken out of the game. I think that would make a difference in like like haste percentages, even with corruptions. Like imagine not what were we 480? Imagine being 420 with that much haste.
I don't know about like the end game of how bad gear is. Like I know gear leads to so many other things, but I feel like gear isn't fundamentally the issue. I don't
Mm.
think gear leads to the fundamental issues that people have. Like I think the biggest issues that people have is just consequently imbalance, like in all aspects, in all parts of the game, something being unbalanced. Like when do you see an enhancement shaman in any part of the game? In Mythic Plus, in Raid,
Yeah,
in in PvP, in World Questing? I feel like I feel like it's just like the fact that not everything is equal, but how do you balance something? How do you make everything equal
Well,
and
you
still
used to
enjoyable?
buff or uniqueness. Like an enhancement shaman would want to drop like a Wind Fury totem, and no other class had that. And
Then you
so,
don't have that bring the class, bring the player type aspect. You have people sitting on the sidelines because they have 5 fire mages for this Brutalis boss because it just pumps the highest damage on single target. So now you have to sit Joe on the bench line so you can bring in, Mike to fucking pump 80 DPS on a boss, and then you have to swap them back out. People are just gonna go the path of least resistance, and they're just gonna swap in and out of people. Like, I mean,
or that, or Mike plays mage and enhancement shaman. The evolution of the game is multi-class.
true, true.
I
Big
think
brain meta coming in. I mean, yeah.
the systems introduced each expansion. Maybe if they, like it feels like the damage that you do, like as a rogue, it's reap, dressed, uh, lethal, and then my class starts doing its damage. You know what I mean? Like bike, like
I think that makes it hard to balance. I think when
yeah,
you have things like that, like neck, azurite, essences,
makes it
you
impossible
have
to
corruption.
balance.
How do you balance it? Yeah, because like there's too much customizability in the customizability of the customization of the thing you're customizing. Like it's too much meticulous stuff that again goes back to people requiring to play the game an immense amount to realize it. But yeah, I think yeah, all those systems, but those are also some of the systems that make it fun. Like I don't know if you guys have played a 99% fire mage haste build, but that shit's a lot of fun. Like that is a lot of fun. It's not so much fun as the as the warrior on the other team. It feels bad for you, but like that you have these elements that are fun and they can be fun, but they also then aren't really necessarily balanced either. So like I don't know. It's a slippery slope, I feel like.
Getting
Uh,
or go ahead, Meta.
I was gonna say, like, you asked me earlier what was one thing that I would change to the game.
Yeah,
Um, my answer is I want to see a voting system in the game, where they reach out to the community and like we decide on things that we want and don't want in the game, and would allow like things to change, perhaps in a more uh expedited way, because like it just seems like we all want these things, but they don't happen as fast as we want them to. And maybe that's because there's like a lack of communication between the community and the developers themselves. And I know that OSRS has this type of system, and that's why the game has been able to survive for so long. I think is because they've honestly have listened to what the players want, and that's so I think it's a voting system would be kind of cool on different things. So
How do they implement that? Because I feel like right now they have submit feedback, which I feel like they never read. But like, how do you get that to where it's out there? Maybe like hit a certain
you
point of the
you
game and you can
you
do
have
this now.
you have a no, it'd be like probably like account like some type of account based subscription based thing where you know you can vote on these things. Obviously, like there's gonna be there you have some type of problems like people making multiple accounts and paying for multiple subs, but like who's really gonna do that to like push an agenda
Yeah,
on
you'd
WoW?
have to do that so many. You have to pay so much money
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
like there's yeah, I really feel like you know something something on maybe like the character screen where you can click one of those red buttons and there might be a list that pulls up of like what to vote on and things like that, and all that stuff gets recorded as long as you're subbed.
I feel like that's the feedback. I mean, I do that right now with a lot of anytime. I probably go to the help menu, submit a suggestion. I literally go there probably once a day and submit something that I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like,
I think most
Right,
people
but
just want like acknowledgement that they saw it and not in a hey, thanks for submitting your feedback. Like, you know what I mean?
that's the thing. That's the difference between voting and suggesting,
Yeah.
is where they're they have to listen to the voters,
Yeah, they have to
right?
like do a
Y-
YouTube video or just make a forum post, a blue post, like, "Hey, this is what was voted on. We're discussing it internally."
oh, so you're saying like at a character screen you have like three options to send out a vote. They already have
Well,
preset
there
things
will
that
be an
they thought.
option to go to voting. There would be an option to go to voting, like, and then there's an entire section itself on various topics that get popular topics that will get brought up, and then you can vote on them. Like,
Yeah.
should should GPI be 15 seconds or no cooldown,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Like,
yeah.
and then that's you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
should
that's smart.
right? You see what I'm saying? Should item levels be 15 per raid tier, or should they be this?
Yeah. And then they
Yeah,
don't
that
have
totally
to
makes sense.
implement it, it's just they actually get real feedback, like,
Hmm.
that makes
Yeah,
sense, yeah. No,
no, I definitely
I'd
agree with
do with
that.
that. Yeah, we've been going for, like, an hour and 15 already. I think the chat's actually been popping off. I was gonna ask if Chad had any questions, at Connor XTV, so they highlight to myself, but, um, I think, like I was gonna ask you, Meta, because you play a healer, and I got my first gladiator was in Cataclysm as a healer, and I think healing now compared to healing then, like I really don't like the idea of having to do damage, like as a holy pally, and I played holy pally this season too a little bit, just in twos mainly, but like I'm stacking the judgment trait to do big damn judges. Like, do you like that gameplay? I know it's dynamic and you can do damage, but do you like the
Yeah,
idea that you have to do damage?
I like the fact that healers can do damage.
Yeah.
I think it's important for them to do damage, and because that will give like being able to balance your damage and your healing with the right class design is will ultimately separate good healers from bad healers as well. And so it's that it's balancing the damage and healing, and then it's balancing mana. I feel like those
Yeah.
are and cooldown rotation obviously. So like the everything is important. It's not you can't just like sit back and be a heal bot. I don't like that type of design. I think that's bad. um I also going on the judgment aspect, I think that the judgment design was bad, and I think that removing a lot of the abilities, a lot of the OP-ness that Palette had for a very long time. Like the new class design is a step in the right direction, despite it being weaker. They need to obviously increase its power right now because Paladin is pretty weak. But uh, I think removing all like a lot of the stuff that they had for Pally was just I don't know.
I
It's
can't
pretty
believe they let Ineffable Truth
yeah. Well,
be
that
that
well
way.
not,
Like that's
even
so
even pre-truth though, like
yeah.
like the way Divine Favor worked and the way Hodge was like the best stun in the game, and the you just press judgment and you hit someone for 100k. Like no healer can do that besides Pally.
No
It's
DPS
not
can do that. Like I never hit for 100k on my rogue. Like
right. So
yeah.
yeah,
Nerdy Jessica has asked twice if my opinion on if you're a good pineapple or not, or if you think you're a good pineapple. So
I'm a great tasting pineapple.
yeah,
It's the best looking pineapple I've ever seen.
yeah, you're the best pineapple we've had on the stream. That's 100% for sure.
Yeah.
On the show. Um, I'm of the like healers can do damage, but I don't think they should do damage if that makes sense. Like or it's not necessary. Like you should if you want to heal bot, maybe not at rank 1 plays, but if you want to just like Mistweaver can't do damage right now. I guess now they have touch of death, but like I don't think that
Yeah,
should be a
that's important for the game.
yeah, you think
100%.
yeah, you think it's absolutely needed?
Yeah, it's 100%. Like because that's increases the skill cap of the class.
Yeah, true.
Like not being able to do damage and contribute to kills is like detrimental to the game. It just is from a PvP perspective.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
yeah,
I totally agree. I think having a healer be able to contribute to the kill is massive. I think that you can tell the difference between a good healer and a bad healer because that good healer sees that window of your burst window, your
Yeah,
kill opportunity,
get a claw
and helps
off or
contribute that.
yeah.
I mean, I also think just like that mental switch of switching from watching your healer, your team, to watching the enemy team. I
yep,
think it's just
Yeah.
that's a huge awareness thing. Like knowing like this is
I
my
definitely
team's kill
yeah, it
opportunity.
obviously ups the skill cap. I just don't know if it's like overwhelming for someone who's never PvP'd and they're expected to like hodge into as I play rogue, so playing RM Pal, they're expected to hodge and judge into every kidney, like hodge the healer. Like, I expect them to do damage every kidney shot, even though they might have never been like introduced to that. They don't know what that is. You know what I mean?
I mean, that skill cap difference.
Yeah.
That's the gap between the intro
I
players
mean
and
you
players
just
who
have to
want to
get
get.
Get
yeah
used
get
to it.
good,
Yeah, get good.
get good.
I don't think there's
That's literally what it comes down
anything wrong with that sentiment either. Like, get good at the game. Like,
to. Yeah,
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with
But
it's
yeah,
not.
like
yeah?
what somebody said in chat though is not wrong. Like a judgment hitting for
Yeah,
40% of my health right now, and it's a free button to press, and it's encouraged because it reduces their stun. Like
yeah,
when you take away the skill cap and almost make
They
it a
took that system out. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. That's what's not exciting is that they took that OP aspect out. It's
yeah.
not the same anymore.
That's good.
It's not a 10-second swing on Hodge every time you judge.
yeah,
So
that was actually pretty busted. Honestly, that was super busted. I
I'm
mean,
glad
obviously with inevitable too.
they put the heal or the quick cast back in for Holy Light because that was like ridiculous. It felt like I don't play Holy Pally anymore, but I logged on them to do a couple twos games in pre-patch just with viewers, and like I felt so useless casting so slowly, and then like they obviously hot fixed it, I guess, in or changed in beta, but I think yeah, Holy Pally is such a weird like OP healing spec because their cooldowns are so strong, and when you make it where it's an advantage to do damage to get your cooldowns back faster, it's like absolutely broken. Like I would have never thought in my life that Rogue Mage Paladin would have been the best Rogue Mage comp. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's just
you're
such
right.
The utility that paladins offer though. I
yeah,
mean, so many immunity buttons, bop, sack, bubble, and then wings. You're immortal for 20 seconds, and
yeah,
then look, guess what? Bop back, bop block, or bubble bop, sacks back up. I have
yeah.
my trinket now. Oh
Your
wait, wings is back up. We're good for 20 seconds, guys.
your shield walls up every
Bop's back up,
nine
guys.
seconds. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So Meta, you said you consider yourself more of a druid now. I guess we'll wrap this up with like what are you? I know you're gonna play lots of different specs for lock probably. Um, what are you going into Shadowlands season 1 expecting to be your main?
Druid,
100%.
100%.
And
Yeah,
what
100%.
comp are you thinking is gonna be?
Um, I'm hoping RMD is good. I've always enjoyed playing RMD. I felt like the way RMD is played compared to other Rogue Mage comps, like the skill cap is
It's so high.
night and day. It's
Yeah.
night and day. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to initially.
It's so hard
And
to find a druid that like I've queued with no guard playing RMD, and he was on his
mhm,
alt obviously, and like he's a insane. I think he's an insane druid, and he literally just said, "Hey man, I don't really understand like like what you need me to do, because like if the druid and the mage aren't in unison, then there's not really that. I find there
yeah,
wasn't really that kill potential. You know, it's so reliant on CC and cross CC. I'd love to. I love RMD, but it's the highest skill cap Rogue Mage, I think, for sure.
it's the highest skill cap comp in the game. Period.
You think so?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. It is.
100%.
Just
Wow.
is.
Clone pushes it over.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, I think this was like pretty good success. We were over 50 viewers there for a little bit last week. We were like, I don't think we even got to 30. So, Meta, I want to thank you for coming on. It was nice meeting you. I watch you in your stream quite often. So it was cool hanging out for a bit. Easy
Yeah,
is you know, the boy. I guess we queued a lot of times together, so it's fun. I hope Meta you could come back on sometime.
for sure.
It was a lot of fun. Make sure you guys have followed Meta in the chat. We got a Nightbot for him. I'll upload this to YouTube, and then in the next day or two, Meta, I'll PM you on Discord and I'll ask for all your socials and all that stuff so I can plug it on there. Um,
Okay,
yeah, but I really
sounds good.
appreciate both you guys coming in here and hanging out and talking about the game. Like it kind of wasn't even really like lots of people like, oh, we're gonna talk healer. Like we kind of just didn't even really interview you. We kind of just had a nice conversation about the game, and that's kind of the goal. So
Yeah.
that was really productive, I guess.
It's chill. It was fun. I liked it.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well,
All right, boys. You have a good night.
have a good
Yeah.
night.
Yep.
See
Take
you
it
later,
easy.
team. Bye.
All right, so I'm gonna hop back on here real quick. I'm just gonna say this: like, comment, and subscribe for YouTube if you guys like this video. Um, yeah, now I can turn off the recording of the thing there. All right, guys, that was pretty fucking cool. I think. Um, yeah, what'd you guys think? I see the nice words, Minnie. I appreciate.